Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? It's Barb with Gossip Gals. Got a new story for you guys today. I think you will like this one. Has to do with a baby that was abandoned at an airport, and years and years and years later, she met her family. I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. At long last, former pageant star Elizabeth Hunterton, who was abandoned at the Nevada airport after just being born, was set to meet her biological mother in May of 2024. 44-year-old Elizabeth always knew she was adopted, and in January 1980, just 10 days after she was born, two pilots found her unattended at a gate in an airport in Nevada. Over the years, she has shared her journey via social media, chronicling the many bumps she experienced on the road to discovering who she is. Since there was little to no information about the airport baby, social services referred her at the time as to baby Jane Doe. She was adopted into a loving home almost immediately, and Elizabeth was left wondering who she was and why she was left behind in the first place. She said she grew up her entire life trying to figure out what she did in those 10 days that ultimately led to them saying, "Let's just leave her at the airport." Encouraged by her best friend to share her story on TikTok, Elizabeth has been documenting her journey of searching for her birth parents, as well as being openly vulnerable about the emotions and healing that come with discovering the truth behind her abandonment. Bear with me 1 second. She never expected her story to go viral. While some of her videos have hundreds of thousands of views and likes, she made the videos to find any residual pain or angst or worry and unpack that, confront it, heal from it, and walk into meeting her mother unburdened. Elizabeth had a stellar childhood and was raised in a white family in Reno who loved her beyond measure. She was crowned Miss Nevada in 2004 and is still CEO of that organization today. She married a man with whom she shares two biological children aged 5 and 6 and also a stepson. She said her adoptive parents had a beautiful way of explaining her adoption, leading with kindness instead of vilifying her birth mother. She said, "I just remember my mom explaining that I was lucky enough to have two sets of parents. One who loved me enough to raise me, and one who loved me enough to give me up." In fact, her parents managed to skip a 4.5-year adoption wait list. Social services called every other potential adoptive parent who has been approved and those that had been on the wait list for longer than 28 days, and all of them said no, they were not willing to adopt a black baby. She said, "They called my parents, and with no questions asked, my mom and dad sped down the hill, picked me up, and I've been with them ever since. If my birth mother had known that I would end up with the world's best and most loving parents, the best teacher she ever could have prayed for, she never would have wasted 1 second of energy wondering if she made the right decision." Elizabeth didn't have a known birthplace, a birth date, or race, which made it impossible for investigators to help her discover her backstory. In August 2021, a 23andMe test connected her to a few distant relatives, but none of them were her parents. Many names on the family tree were Japanese, a language Elizabeth happened to minor in during college. Elizabeth is a mixed race, half black and half Japanese. A distant relative put Elizabeth in touch with her uncle, who was the brother of her biological father. In a TikTok video, she recounted what it was like meeting her uncle. She said, "I was so warmly welcomed, which blew my mind. I called my biological uncle and he was like, 'My dear niece, this is the kind of thing that you hear about in movies, but you never expect to come to a theater near you.'" She said her uncle told her that her father was essentially the whole package. He was kind, he was funny, a tremendous athlete, which is where she got her athleticism from, as she was a varsity track runner in high school. But after a half hour, Elizabeth realized her uncle was only referring to her biological father in the past tense. That's when her uncle informed her that her biological father had passed away in 2004 and that he did not even know of her existence. Heartbreakingly, her uncle told her that her father had always dreamed of having a biological child of his own. He did not adopt his stepson, and he loved him dearly, but my uncle said that more than anything, his one unfulfilled wish was a biological child of his own. It's sad because he did have one. He just didn't know about me, she said. She immediately felt the presence of her biological father. I knew that moment he did find out about me and he passed. He became one of my guardian angels. I'm very much my biological father's daughter. We look alike, we talk alike, and the first time I met my biological uncle, he just kept staring at me. My uncle said, "It's just crazy. It's so weird to see a young female version of my brother. There's a million little things you do that bring my brother back to life." Although it only took 5 days for Elizabeth to track down her paternal lineages, finding her biological mother proved to be much more difficult. Just when Elizabeth was about to give up completely, assuming her birth mother was the first of 3 women the test matched her with who had passed away years ago, she connected with her second cousin. She spoke with her cousin for a while, and it sounded like I was the hardest part of my birth mother's already difficult life. My cousin explained that while my birth mother hadn't talked about me to anyone, her mom, my biological aunt, did suspect that her sister was pregnant, but they never discussed it. She said my birth mother never looked proud of anyone, but she was proud of you when I showed her pictures of all your accomplishments. She's extremely relieved to know you're okay because for the past 40 years she's been tormenting herself with worst-case scenarios. Ooh, bear with me a second, guys. Mustering all of her courage, Elizabeth sent a 2.5-page handwritten letter to her biological mother. Elizabeth learned she was born to a Black father and a Japanese mother who met at the Fort Ord military base. She learned she was born in a hospital in California and was finally able to get a hold of her birth certificate. She also learned that her abandonment at the Nevada airport was not the fault of her mother, whom she referred to as number 4 in her TikTok. Elizabeth said, "When I received her email, she shared that she wasn't able to take care of me as she believed I deserved. Therefore, she gave me to her roommate who was supposed to take me to an adoption agency. When my birth mother was told I was actually left at the airport instead, it took quite a toll. As if by fate, Elizabeth found out she was given Elizabeth as her middle name by her biological mother before her adoptive mother and father knew who she was, a discovery that brought her peace and comfort. One of the darker details she told Elizabeth, however, was that she was a product of rape. Her biological father's side of the family said anything of that nature was far out of character for him. She also said in a TikTok video that while she did believe her biological mother was violated, she said she will never know if her biological father was the one who did it. She said, "I looked deeper into this than anyone else ever has, but when all is said and done, I sit there with that question, am I the product of rape? The one place where my soul finds peace is that I don't know if I am. I would have no choice but to accept that. I'm not going to hate myself because of choices that had nothing to do with me." After years of keeping in touch over email and sharing occasional text conversations, Elizabeth and her mother were meeting on May 18th. She said she learned that she gave her biological mother more grace than she has ever given herself. She is finally giving herself permission to live now that she knows I'm okay. It hurts my heart knowing how long she punished herself for something I never thought of as wrongdoing. Her birth mother said she didn't have the physical or financial or mental abilities to care for a child. Not only does she not match a single one of the witness reports from 1980, she said the betrayal of her friend still pains her. Finally meeting her birth mother was a very positive experience, yet it leaves me with a few more questions and a lot to process. After meeting my birth mother, I think my heart and demeanor resembles hers, yet I'm very much my mom and dad's daughter. Now that I know where nature and nurture stop and begin, I'm certain of one thing. It's not nature or nurture, it's both, along with free will. I'm a combination of my biological parents, my parents, and who I chose to become along the way. Now, going to meet my birth mother, as my husband and I approached the location where my birth mother was waiting, I stopped walking and wasn't sure if I could go through with it. Ultimately, I chose courage over fear, and I'm glad I did it. Our initial embrace was somehow both a lifetime in the making, comfortable and uncomfortable all at once. We stared at each other quite a bit and attempted to do so without the other knowing. Our resemblance is not physical, rather in heart and demeanor. She said when telling her story, the first question I get asked is, how did I feel? It felt then as it feels now. The whole thing is freaking strange. I know this is my story, so I know I shouldn't feel as weird as it does, but it's just weird. She also recounts telling her birth mother that she has felt nothing but love and gratitude for giving her life. When Elizabeth asked her adoptive mom if there was any message to pass on to her biological mother, she said, "Please thank her for me." Well, guys, that's all that I have on this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you know the next time I upload a video. Till then, guys, peace.